Right, so we are starting back our third and final segment for tonight, and Kinesia is back here as well. Very good. Just trying to wait for her mic to pop up and then switch that to mute, or she could probably do that for us as well. Right, so when your mic shows up, Kinesia, just punch it to mute, and then let us continue here. So this chat, putting the chat on the side. Right. Good. So there it goes. Great. So we were saying that instead of calling it net cash flows there, we change it to project cash flows. So we had the cash flows from the project, firstly in YR, and now we're gonna get the project cash flows in dollars by doing once more multiplication or division. Can somebody remind me? Multiplication or division? Excellent, because again, hold on. If we have here, Anita, a value in YR, and we multiply that by YR over dollars, what would happen? You multiply the base currency. Yeah, that sounds like a thing, but that doesn't seem to be helping me in my conversion. Base currency. The base currency is dollars, right? In the exchange rate. And if I am multiplying YR by YR, that will not cancel anything. So that'll give me YR squared over dollars, which is not a thing that we can work with. So if we have YR and we want to convert that into dollars, what would we do with YR per dollar? Right, here we must divide. So in dividing, that will get us to flip these two over and cancel off the YRs. All right, so is that clear, Kinesia? That we have to now divide, right? And not what we were doing all along. So let's just check back. Any one of the workings, will we convert in YR into dollars? In all of our workings so far, what were we really doing? We were converting, as we scroll down here, we were converting inflation in dollars into YR, and that's why we were multiplying to move from component cost in dollars into YR. Good. So in that case, we could have multiplied, but here we're not. Here we're converting YR into dollars. Okay. So make sure that we cannot multiply here. We have to now go and divide. So punch in 48.6. Now the question is, while that was trillions of dollars, should we now maintain trillions? Sorry, this was trillions of YR. Should we now maintain trillions of dollars, or would the numbers be too small? So YR trillions was up here. YR in trillions. Should we choose something else now as we're going down to a different currency? Cash flows. Right? Because if we divide equal 48.6 divided by 100, that's going to give us some small decimals. Okay, so I think at this stage we should think about converting from trillions into millions. Everybody clear with that? Move cash flow dollars in millions. Cash flow dollars in millions. Yes, no, make sure everybody's clear with this one. So not only are we going to divide by those values, we're going to multiply it by 1,000 to come up with a value of 479, something close to that, right? Because again, Excel is using some more exact values for me. So if I do that, what do we get? Are we getting numbers close to that? 48.6 divided by 101.479. Yeah. Divided by 120.1, 16 point something, 16.7. Yes, no? Are these values okay? So to boot it up to millions, we'll need to move the decimal 3 places. Yes or no? Can I see by a type in the chat? Are we good at this stage? Make sure. Can you say you're right? 79.16 minus 470. 479. Ganesha, are you there? No. Okay, no. I need you to be a little better than that. So, firstly, the step is we're converting YR into dollars. So we divide in by this rate. Good. So if we leave the values as they are, they will not be in millions, they will be in trillions, because this is 48 trillion. Change it by any exchange rate, it'll still be in trillions. So that will give us 0.4 trillion if we just do that division in a calculator, right? So let me digress on the side here. 48.6 over 101.4. It's me 0.4793. So this is the amount of trillions of dollars. So to convert that into millions, 1, 2, 3, if I multiply by 1,000, if I multiply by 1,000, it will now become millions of dollars. So instead of 0.4 trillion, it is 479.3 million. So I'm moving from a larger scale, I'm moving down from a larger unit to a smaller unit. So let me just do another one. If I have 5 kilometers and I want to move that down into meters, what do? Not multiply by 1,000, because there are 1,000 meters in a kilometer. Are we okay there now? Yeah, make sure. We're moving from the larger unit to the smaller unit. So you boot it up by the factor of how large it is. So again, you could have left it in trillions and used the decimals, but I'm not a big fan of those decimals. So it's up to you, however you treat it, of course, in the exam, but be aware of it, right? So, right, we have millions of dollars. And now we want to get all of our other US cash flows so that we can finish the question for the night. We're taking so long. to do just a part. Okay, moving on. What is the next US cash flow? So NYRs, what is the company receiving? Now here it sounds a bit funny with some of them because you would have stuff from the project in Yilandwi coming across to the US side, right? So watch out for those. So what's coming across? Or what are any of the other US cash flows that you can find for me? Redundancy, yeah, that could come in, but as we were just saying, our values here are in millions, right? Millions of dollars. And let's just consider that redundancy again. Coming up here, what were we told about this redundancy? M&E's after-tax cash flows. So we know it's M-money, so it should be a value in dollars. We still don't have the currency, so we are not really sure if it's in dollars, but we could safely assume that it's dollars because it's M-money. But my next question is it in millions? Or are these individual dollars? Or are those thousands of dollars? Or singular dollars? Which dollars is it, Anita? Because I want to work in millions. Do I say the redundancy is 20 million, 20,000 million, $20,000, millions? So again, that one, the original answer to the examiner's answer sheet said no matter what you did with it, you would have gotten the marks. Now, Anita is trying to tell me to throw it in, but in the meanwhile, last time we did our report here, excuse me, I had a bit here which said redundancy costs are unclear as to are they in millions and which currency. At this stage, we choose to do what? Ignore, right? So we wrote that in the report. You don't want to go and do something contrary to the report. So did the answer sheet have it? Let me just see. Cash flows. No, they actually left it out as well. So royalty, tax, contribution. Yeah. So you say something about it. You don't just leave it out completely, right? So we said something and we explain why we're leaving it out. So don't expect that to happen in the question again. That was probably typo. Somebody left out something. So next time you'll have to deal with it if it does show up. So what else do we have? The royalty. So to mention that, let's come back here. So the royalty is being paid to money. So therefore, these amounts in dollars, in millions again, will be received, right? And on one hand, while in YR it's a payment, in Y it's a receipt to I, right? So it's going from Y to the head office company money. Is everybody okay with that line? So any dollar payments that move from one country to the next, we now have to account for it right here. So royalty from looking for, that would have been 36. Not in T0, but in all of the other areas. 36, 36, 36, 36. What else? There was something else that the company paid for in dollars. Well, in Yland, Eland. Come on, see if we see it here. One of this line here was paid for in dollars. We already had royalty, so we got that out. What else did they pay for? And also paid head office in money for in dollars. Component costs, that's right. So we have the component costs. But is it the whole cost? 280. Let's go down here to the working on components. Look entry. Component cost. So many components. We inflated it. And we got these. Okay. We didn't do that as a singular line. We did the entire amount and converted it one time. So I have to work backwards or work it out myself. 150 times cost of 280 per component times 1.03. 43, 43, 43, 260. Which seems like a little too much. What are they really getting? We need to go to the question to see what did they really tell us about this component. Right? So this line here. Let's take a look. Parts needed to assemble has a cost of 200, which currently earn a pre-tax contribution of 40. However, they feel they can negotiate an increase of the price to 280 instead. So, do we need to work with the whole 280, which Anita mentioned, or are we looking at something else? What really should we use? The whole 280 or something else? In this scenario, parts assemble the components being sent from the US, and what are they receiving? They're receiving 280 per part. What type of cash flows are we looking for? If we just look at the Elan calculations for a moment, is it the total sales only that's relevant? What did we do? We have to work down to a net. So if we have our component cost and the sale value is the 280, that's like the gross value on the top. We are given information about the cost. So should we now net it off? 280 minus the cost to give us the net. What do we think? Minus the cost, not equal to cost. Yes or no? we need for NPV scenario net cash flows. So the net cash flows comes from the total receipts minus total payments. And the company money, back up to the question. So I could probably erase that here because it's not really 100% applying. Just trying to illustrate what the NPV process is doing. So, yeah. Currently, these things in a pre-tax contribution of $40. So you have the sale price and you have the pre-tax contribution of $40. So what are we looking at? Which one is relevant? Let's ignore the 280 for a minute. Which one should be in our project? If we were looking at the original price without, why is Anita saying the 200 to me? You are ignoring now part of your cash flows there, Anita, of the relevant cost, so, or the variable cost. So 200 minus the variable cost is what gives you the contribution of 40. And that's what I tried to illustrate by looking at the basic outcome or outlook from NPV. You do not only account for your sales alone, you have to also account for your costs and costs. So if you only pick up the 200 or if you pick up the whole 280, you have only accounted for the sales side of the component. Where are your costs for the component if you pick up the 200? Right? So are we following the argument? Anita, sorry, our next participant for tonight, Kenisa, are you following the argument we are having here? So that you cannot include the 200 alone. You need to have whichever item you're dealing with, and here I'm just illustrating on the main cash flow. For all of the cash flows, you need to start with the sales, yes, that's the inflows, but you also need to have your outflows. So inflows, and all of these are our outflows to get to our NPV. So similarly with the component costs, we have the inflow, but we also need to account for its outflow. Kanisa, are you there? Is it making sense? So therefore, the inflow minus the outflow is effectively going to give us the contribution, right? So for the component, what's the contribution? It started off at 40, but then that went up by an extra. How much did they add on to that selling price? So 40 was the selling price. When the selling price was 200, the contribution was 40. What did we add on to the selling price? Come on, don't make me go up to the question. 200 plus what? To get the original number, I need to add there. Right, so we added on an 80. So therefore the contribution from each component is going to go up by 80. Therefore, our new contribution, which we chose to use the 280 price, the contribution from the 280 price is 120. Is that clear? Right, so we were not told anything in the question about the variable cost going up. We were not told about the contribution falling. So simply, assuming the variable costs remain the same, the contribution is going up by the new sale price of the components, 120. So taking all of this off, 120 is our component contribution that we're now going to use. Right, I'll probably say that down here as a little note. Let's go. Royalty and contribution. 80 plus 80 from component. So 40 plus 80, and actually I need to inflate it. So I'll have to do that in a working instead. Contribution from component. Working, I think I read 7. Let's go down there and see. 5, 6, 7. Yeah. So this is in dollars. I could still take my years. Values in dollars, millions now. So component contribution. Contribution dollars. And I need the amount of units. This was 120 first of all. Okay, now I'm T0. 120, 120, 120, 120. Then the units, thousands. So units I have somewhere here. Copy that from here. Units and thousands are 150, etc. So that times that should give me a value in millions. Oh, I have to inflate it. Inflation in the US. So what was my US inflation? Can somebody tell me? Straight up to the end, we have to question. We were told expected inflation rates in the USA is only going to be held at 3%. Here it's good. So after here, year 1 and onwards. From here, I'll multiply by 1.03, and each year that will simply be compounded. So that's 1.03 squared T2 cube and T3 and to the power of 4 T4. There we go. So let's work out our contribution. Dollars. So basically, since this is starting with regular dollars of 120, we'll have to now divide it by 3 to convert the thousands into millions. All right, so this is equal to 120 times 150,000 times that. Hold on, what's up? That's no, not times 8 times this. Yes, Ganesh, very good point. This is why my emphasis in the last recording is that we should not be doing all of this, and we should be doing the explanations, which is actually what I did first. So having done that report area and In attempting all of this, so my 10-minute warning is up now. In attempting all of this, we do not use all of the 4 years. You do the first 2 years, and that's about it, or even 1 year if you're coming down to time. And I would recommend just plugging in some odd numbers in the rest of the parts. Yes, the part 1, Anita, thanks. As well as, of course, the part A. And if you do your part A, you collect those marks. You do the part 1 without any of these calculations, and you basically have your report. You're just waiting for the conclusion. Positive NPV, negative NPV to try and make a decision. And you do some of the numbers and you try and figure an answer whether it's going to look like it's positive or not. And you move on. So that once you have illustrated one column of work in here, you've shown that you have assessed each of the items that need to go into the adjustment. All of the other columns are just wasting time, right? So once you do one column, if you have the time, you do 2. But basically, you write a proper report, you leave out what needs to be waiting for the NPV. You do one column of working, see how the cash flow is going, and make a educated guess, and or put in some inflated numbers here. We know this one is 18.5. By all means, you could just plug in here 19, 20, 21 and move on. Are we seeing what I'm saying? Right? So these 3, that is what I would recommend you do in the exam. We cannot realistically do all of these workings and expect to finish it in. It's not going to happen. So all of this extra explanation and working out each number, really, I shouldn't be doing it at this stage, but I'm doing it still to try and we do so much of it in teaching. So next semester when I'm teaching, I'm not even going to do these columns 2, 3, and 4, or 3 and 4 during the term. So I'm going to get everybody accustomed to that we're just working column 1 and 2, make some guess at it, and your strong point, which I was trying to convince Anita of last week. While I love my maths as well, and the maths might be a strong point, the maths is not the strong point in this exam. Maths is the trick that will make people fail, and that's historically been seen with the pass rates in this paper. So they give you a lot of wonderful computations, which takes you more than 3 hours. And anybody who decides to go down the road, well, I could do my computations, don't pass. You have to go in there and be able to answer the questions in order to pass, which is leave the calculator alone for the most part. Write like you're crazy. You need to have the knowledge to write as well. And that's how you come out with a pass, right? So the minimum use of the calculator is what is recommended. So, yeah, and we're trying to get to bed also. So let's go ahead and finish this off here. So, taking this across, I need to know also when I get to this square. That's my 61. Change that to cube here. And change that to power 4 here. Right, 18, 61, 95, 48. Yeah, these are the contributions in millions. Now again, watch out for the little working on the side here, where we have had units and thousands. So singular dollars times thousands gets you dollars and thousands. And to get up to millions, we don't need to divide by 6 zeros. We are only divided by 1 more thousand. Very clear with that? So we already are in thousands. Thousands count for another 3 zeros. And we're up to millions. Make sure this time we are moving from the smaller unit, which is again to the larger unit, right? Opposite to the working we did before. And another example would be moving from meters up to kilometers now. And 500 meters is half of a kilometer. So you're dividing. All right. Make sure everybody's good with the units and the conversions there. So this comes up. Can I see by a quick yes? Is it everybody okay with the divide by the 1,000? Nisa, especially as she wasn't here last week when we did more of those. All right, good. So moving up to plug those in to our cash flow area up here. Contribution, booking 7 equal. That, and they have a tax line as well. So all of the stuff received in the US, should it be accountable for tax? Do we have anything like a double tax treaty? Right, so check out that tax scenario. Let's see what you have for the tax treaty. I just need 1 minute to check on something and I'll be right back. So look up your tax and see if there's any double tax treaty or not. So I think, yeah, we have 3 minutes remaining. Just give me a second and I will be back. Encoding, right. So we have 1 more minute and I see a little chat going on there. You all gotta put on your mics, you know, and chat as well. Studying, not going, that's not good news. But still, being on NPVs is fairly okay. But what I wanted to illustrate, which I didn't get time yet, and next session definitely, I will pause, I will look at the syllabus and show you why Kinesia has quite a bit of work to be doing on the NPV areas, because all of the various topics which can come, right? So next week, Monday again, after we finish off here quickly, we'll have to use a 4th session to finish off, as my minute is counting down and we'll pump off just now. So yeah, we'll do another past paper another year and see how different that NPV is to the last 2 sittings that we did. So we did December 14th NPV. This is June 15th NPV.